It is time to expand minds through movies, TV, sports, and flicks. It is time to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. It is time for the Captain Talks Flicks.
The Captain Talk Flicks.
Welcome to the Captain Talks Flicks podcast. I'm your host, Captain Cortez, aka Mr. Love, and this is where we talk flicks. And I got a question for you this week. I got an interesting question for you this week. The Captain, what is your question? My question is this. Have you ever wondered where creativity and knowledge come from? You're like, Captain, why are you asking me this? What's this got to do with movies, TV, sports, and flicks? It's got everything to do with it. Because all these movies, all these TV shows, all these flicks, all these art out here gets created by human beings, right? And some of these ideas are way out there. Where are they coming from? Have you ever thought about that? Like, where are they getting these ideas from? These are madness, right? You might have thought that. Well, we're going to dive into that in a moment. But first, a couple things. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Lesotho. Got some plays over Lesotho this past week. Gracias, gratitude, Toraba. And Lesotho, I saw those wonderful, awesome hats you got over there. Very cool. Like them, appreciate. Very cool. Love them hats. I'd go for myself. This episode is brought to you by the song Training In A Dojo. And one other thing I want to say is yours truly, the Captain. Because if you didn't know, sometimes I rap. And back in the day, I rapped again. I dropped a track called Training In A Dojo. I think it was 2020. It's me rapping over hip-hop, electronic type beats. Rapping the way only the Captain way. So if you want to hear the Captain rap, Training In A Dojo, check it out. Now, let's get on the podcast. So like I said, ladies and gentlemen, where does creativity come from? Have you thought about that? Have you pondered that? Do you do creativity? And if you do creativity, let's say you write scripts, let's say you do albums, let's say you do art, whatever you do that's creative, have you ever just wondered, where does it come from? Now, you might say it comes from our brain. Our brain somehow thinks and puts these things together. Somehow we're able to take this stuff in our brain, put it together in certain ways and express it. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what's happening. But one other interesting thing I did here is I've heard from people over the years. Some people say this. All the knowledge in the universe. All the universe is some kind of information. Cosmic tapestry. And when you engage in the creative arts, whatever you do, whatever way you somehow tap into this cosmic tapestry and it manifests it in our reality. I don't know, it sounds crazy, but I've heard it over and over again. And sometimes I hear it and I'm like, maybe that makes kind of sense. Because I'll be real with you guys. I do a lot of creative stuff. And sometimes when I do, I'm like, bro, this came from my mind. I always say, if you do the drills, you will get the skills, right? And I know it's true. But I mean, sometimes doing the things I do, it just feels like magic. Like currently, I'm studying 5 languages right now, right? 5 languages, 5 of them. And as I've been doing these reps over and over again, all of a sudden, I'm looking at words that I didn't know what they meant, and now I know what they mean. Like automatically, 5 different languages, bro. I'm looking at these words on paper, and I know what they mean. Or if I hear someone speak it, I know what they're saying sometimes. I know what these characters mean. I know what these words mean. I know what they're saying. It feels like magic. Like I know I've done the reps and all that, but I don't know. It just seems very magical. And even these podcasts, do this podcast right now. Hear me talking, and I'm just flowing off the top of the dome, right? And when I get in the flow state, I just can spit this stuff out. And I know a lot of other athletes and artists and creatives that get in that flow state and they can do the same. Maybe when you get in the flow state from doing the reps over and over again, that allows you access to this cosmic tapestry of knowledge and creativity. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't even know what to think. I just know that I've seen a lot of movies over the years, and every now and then you see this crazy groundbreaking movie and like, someone thought of this in their mind, or a bunch of people thought of this in their brain. Like their mind thought of this. Or you might hear some theory or some song or something, and like some guy's brain or woman's brain or two people's brain came up with these sounds and these words, like out their mind. And something a lot of times too, when these things have never been heard, a new sound, a new movie, a new idea that's never been heard in ever. It just come out of nowhere, like out of nowhere. It never been created on earth, and all of a sudden it came out of nowhere. Someone thought of it. How does that manifest? Yeah, I don't know. Take it back to me. when I do the things I do, sometimes it feels like someone just uploaded the information to my brain like in the Matrix. Really, seriously. Like the language thing is really blowing my mind right now. Because as someone that, spoke one language and didn't speak that really efficiently, to now understand multiple languages. And you know how I know it? Because I just look at the word and I know automatically what it says. Like I said, it feels like magic. It's crazy. And one additional thing too, when I listen to some of my songs I wrote over the years, and I listen back, and sometimes I forget them out because it's been so long, and I'm like, I wrote that. And then also too, I go back to the year I wrote it. I was listening to some of my stuff from back in like 99 or 98 or 2000 right there. And like my 20-year-old self wrote that song. Like I wrote that, like really? Seriously? It's unbelievable. But somehow, some way we come up with these creative things and we produce these, and maybe it's our own brain. But I'll be honest, my 20-year-old brain was probably not as sophisticated as my 47-year-old brain is. Not to knock my younger self, but somehow these creations were being created, these words are put together, these sounds, these beats. It's absolutely craziness, amazing. And so I just wonder, all these movies, TV shows we watch with these magnificent scripts, these great grand ideas, and a lot of them are brand new, we've never seen. Like when I saw The Matrix for the first time, my mind was blown. That was the first time in cinema, or maybe the second time in cinema we've seen anything like that. Where does that come from? They're just sitting around one time drinking coffee, or they're in their bed, or they're on a couch, and all of a sudden it just comes out of nowhere. Like I don't know, it's just very weird. I feel there's more going on in the universe than we know about. Just walking planet Earth, living my life, and just the things I've seen over 47 years. There's something happening that just is beyond our understanding and perception, and I don't have the word to describe it. But just in my everyday walk in life over so many years, just so many things I've seen, I don't think we fully understand how the universe and the world really works. We're still just figuring it out. Now, don't be wrong. Us human beings, we're smart. We know how to do math and equations and put rockets in space and build computers and phones. I'm not saying we're not. We are. We're smart human beings. We're very smart people. But there's just some higher level sophistication of things happening on Earth that just are not fully understood. And maybe we'll get there soon. I know we don't know. I know we don't even know how the brain fully works. There's a lot to our brain we don't understand. There's so much mechanisms in the body we don't understand. There's so many mechanisms with plants and nature. I was watching this lecture of this lady from overseas, and she's talking about how the world, nature is so symmetrically designed, how the leaf patterns and tree branches and all these different nature things are meticulously designed to just make so much sense in a very, very organized way. And then she's talking about it's God's design. And I was thinking, yeah, it makes so much sense because like only a higher power would be able to create such beauty and sophistication. I just feel people don't really address that or think about that enough. Right? We're smart, don't be wrong, but there's still a lot that human beings can learn. And one of the things maybe we'll learn in the future is where creativity and knowledge actually comes from. If it doesn't come from our own mind, maybe it does come from our own mind. And one additional thing too, I was watching some video earlier today. They talk about this Indian mathematician who was creating these very sophisticated equations that they were saying you would need a modern day computer to compute. And this guy was creating these equations with no modern day computing. Like, how does that mind create that? And in the show, they talked about maybe he was somehow getting knowledge from some other space place. I don't know. I really don't know. But some ideas we get, it seems like it's beyond the capabilities of the human being that is expressing those ideas, right? Have you ever saw a music artist and hear their music, their music artistry, their lyrics, the way they deliver it, is absolutely so sophisticated and magnificent. But you might hear them talk and they just don't really communicate as magnificently as they do in the music, right? And musically, they're like very sophisticated and phenomenal. But if you talk to them as just in conversation, it's just not quite on that level. And I experienced that because like talk about my own music, the way I communicated was in my 20s. Versus how the music sounded, it sounded way ahead of my communication skills. How does that happen? How do you have this very sophisticated style of communicating sonically with artistry and music and beats and rhymes or instruments, But then when you communicate just language, it's just not as sophisticated. I don't know. Maybe, like I said, maybe when you get in that flow state, in the zone, as they say, somehow you were tapping into this cosmic tapestry of knowledge. There's been a lot of books written about athletes and different things getting in the flow state in that zone. And maybe when you're in that flow state, somehow the brain and the mind taps into this. I don't know. Or maybe it's just from doing the drills, you got the skills. I'm not sure. These are questions I have. I don't know. I've been wondering. Maybe you've been wondering the same. Maybe you're on a creative journey yourself. Maybe you get ideas like, bro, where did that even come from? How did I think of that? How did I write that? How did I come up with that? How did I do that? So last thing I'm gonna say, whatever you're doing, however you're living your life, have you ever just done something that amazed you? Like, how did I do that? Well, you'd have been doing the drills, you've been getting the skills, like all that, doing the reps. But even after doing all that, come on, you just do it. It's like amazing. I'm encountering that a lot lately. Like, oh my God, I can do that. It's so strange. I don't know. I just want to put it out there. I was curious about that. It's been on my mind for quite some time. And yeah, and that's all I want to talk about this week. And ladies and gentlemen, you might have noticed if you've been with this podcast for a while that the intro was slightly different than I normally do. So after looking at the metrics and studying the podcast and looking at the plays and all this kind of thing, I've decided in order to maybe best serve the community of human beings that engage this podcast to cut a lot of the intro out and get right into the podcast. I think I'm gonna start doing that. A lot of the podcasts that I listen to myself personally, they do that already. They get right into it right at the jump. There's a quick intro to get right into it. My intro is like 2-3 minutes. I have a long 2-3 minute intro, which I like doing, but I just feel like we're just gonna get right into it. From this day forward, I'm gonna significantly cut the intro down and get right into the juicy stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the podcast. And until next time, we'll see. People who are unable to motivate themselves must be content with mediocrity, no matter how impressive their other talents. Andrew Carnegie. Until next time, this is the Captain Peace.
The Captain Talks Flicks.